Hi everyone! Today on Hello Susan we're creating a strawberry pincushion. I used the project sheet that comes with the Vintage Sewing Digital Journal Kit. It's got step-by-step instructions with illustrations, super easy. I have a few selections that I wanted to show you and share before we get started on making the pincushion. These are ones that I did this week before I did the video. So the first one is this big pink one, and I used pink velvet. I put pearls on it. This is a handmade flower that I made out of laces and fabric with a vintage rhinestone in the center. Very pretty. And the second one I made is this one, showing how you don't have to put the beads on the outside if you don't want to. I just did some trim that I cut up and glued on and put some silk flowers on the top. And then I put a little rhinestone earring right there and a few paper flowers. Alright, the third one is a little bit smaller, and it's a deep purple with pearls, and I put a brooch that I had, a retro brooch, put that on top of it with some little bit of vintage jewelry as well, and a little bird. And then this one is not a pincushion, that is the the strawberry, but it's a little bird planter. And I did use velvet, and I filled it and then covered it and then glued on some flowers, little butterfly. Isn't that cute? Okay, I'm going to move all this out of the way real quick and be right back. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so what I've done so far is I made the pattern. And you just take a circle, and I just looked for 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 8 o'clock and kind of folded it together to divide it into thirds, and that's how I came up with my pattern. Now I cut it out on red velveteen, and as you can see I've already started it. I put on all the pearls, and I sewed the seam on my sewing machine. You can hand sew it, it's up to you. Now I did use velvet and velveteen this week, and out of the two, I think I prefer the velveteen. It's a little bit more stable and easier to sew the beads on. It's a little bit fussy, and I would knot each one on so it wouldn't have a mess inside. But I do think that they both turned out just beautiful. So what we need to do is stuff the strawberry. What we're going to do is we're going to stuff the strawberry with polyfill, and I've got a needle that I've got threaded and knotted already. The first thing we're going to do a running stitch around the edge, about 1/4 of an inch away. And it doesn't take any time at all. This is not something that you could do. Well, I guess you could do it on the sewing machine, but it's so easy. And I don't think the sewing machine has this big of a stitch. At least mine doesn't. That's why I did most of this off camera, because it's fiddly work, but it also takes just a little bit of time, and you know, it's just faster if I just do some steps before. Just almost done here. And see, it draws it up pretty fast. Okay, we're all the way around now, and I'm going to leave my needle attached. I'm not going to take it off because we're going to have to sew that shut after we get all our stuffing in there. Now another tip that I have found that helps me is I went to Walmart and I got these weights. They're for fishing. and mine is 1/2 ounce size. And this is what it looks like right here. And what that does is it holds it when you put it all together. It holds the point down so that it's not going like that, because once you put all your decoration on the top, it just wants to do that. So I'm going to put a little bit of fiberfill in the tip just to get that point set. And you may have to use your scissors a little bit, just the point of them. Don't open them. I think that might rip a hole, but just push it in there. And then do a little, in the beginning you want to do small pieces, just because that area is so small, and you kind of want to pack it in there because you don't want to have a floppy strawberry. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of fiberfill and I'm going to put the weight point down. But I'm just going to kind of wrap it up in that fiberfill just so you won't ever feel it through the pin cushion. And I'm going to put that down in the point and just press it in. Okay, and then you just continue getting more pieces of fiberfill and putting it in. And now you don't have to use such small pieces anymore because you're getting to where it's bigger. And just, you know, just manipulate it. These are so habit forming. I tell you, watch out. You do one and you think, oh, and on the next one I can do this. Whew. But then you've got beautiful treasures, because you cannot go buy these. At least I haven't found them where you can buy them, unless somebody handmade them and is selling them. Of course you can do it that way. Okay, so we're getting pretty full, but I think it can still hold some more. Okay, let's try a little bit more. You can always take some out if you feel like you got it too full. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So just, you know, it's bouncy. But once you get it closed, then you pull on the thread. And I use quilting thread, so it's a little bit thicker. Okay, now see how that just pulled it all together? And then what you do is you want to sew it shut. So I go from one corner to the other and pull it tight, and do that a couple of times. It's not like it's going to get away from you, but you just want to make sure that it stays all together. So then you go to the other side, kind of like an X or a plus sign pattern, and then turn it, and then go to this side. Okay, and let's do that one more time. And I want to do this way a little bit. It looks like it's poking up just a tiny bit there. Okay, I believe that's going to hold it very, very good. So I'm just going to take my thread, and now I'm just going to knot it off. I just wrap my thread twice around it, pull it through. Okay, and then just cut it. Put that needle over here out of the way, because we're done with that. Okay, then you just want to kind of smash it down, because you know it's just like a pillow. That's all you did. Look at that. See, and then that with that weight at the bottom, it just holds it very good. All right, let's move this. So I've got some leaves and I've got some decorations. I already put a group of flowers together. This is ribbon roses, and this is another handmade flower that I did with the rhinestone center. And I already glued them together, so that would give us a head start. And I've got these velvet leaves that I took off of, I think they were poinsettias that I bought at Christmas. And so what I'm going to do is just glue these in a pleasing pattern around the top, so then it starts looking more like a strawberry. And of course we're using our Fabri-Tac glue. You have to use a little bit more glue than you do when you're doing paper, just because it is fabric to fabric, but you don't have to glob it on. Okay, so you look at your strawberry. Of course, there's your back. So I always start in my front. And so I think right there between those two pearls is a good place to put that point. So I start with the point there, and then I just smooth it to the top. And of course, we'll just have to hold it just for a few seconds just to be sure it gets stuck. Okay, and then you take another leaf, and of course they're all different, so you just kind of have to look at your pincushion and decide what you want to do. Now I want this one, I think, a little bit higher up, so I'm gonna put the glue, okay. And you want to start right there. And you want to be careful because the glue, once it's on the fabric, it's on the fabric. So if you get a drop of glue on it, you want to be able to cover that up with something. So you just have to be careful about that. Okay, I think I've got, oh here, look, here's a double leaf. Let's see if we can use that someplace. I think that's a little bit big, so I'm just going to tear it apart. See, it goes pretty fast. I think the only thing that was the most tedious for me was sewing the pearls on. I'm not used to doing that, and they're so tiny. Just holding on to them, and then if you dropped one, then you had to find it. But once I got it all done, I was so happy that I had done it. So it's just something, you know, if you're not used to doing it on a regular basis, you haven't figured out shortcuts. Okay, now see how pretty that's coming out? Okay, let's take another leaf. We'll put it here, and see how I'm kind of making them to where they're not all even. So we'll put that one just a little bit longer. I want to put some jewelry on this one. I've got 3 pieces picked out. I'll show you those when we get to that section, but I want to be able to put those on here. It's what's in my idea. That's my idea for this one. Of course, I like vintage jewelry on anything. Just makes it more special to me. Okay, we've got well, looks like we're going to do all those leaves. I thought I had gotten too many. Now, of course, whatever size circle you make is going to determine what size strawberry you come out with. And I've made bigger ones than this before. And I think that's when I found out about the weights, because they just kept going head down. And I thought, well, what can I do? And finally I thought, well, what about that? I was looking at different, things in the hardware store to look for it, but finally I came up with the idea for the weights. Okay, I think that one's going to have to go like that. Sometimes these pearls get in the way. Now, the way I did the pearls is I just started in the front and started with a diamond pattern and then just went around and filled in. So I didn't actually measure it out, but you certainly are welcome to do that. I seem to just like to eyeball everything. Okay, I'm going to put this one right there. And we've got one more leaf. I'm going to look at it and see if we actually need it. Because once we put this on, well, I guess we better. We'll just do it real short up there like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that leaf in half so I'm not having to glue such a big piece. Okay. Okay, so we'll put that right there. Okay, and that's what it looks like now. I gotta hold that last one a little bit. Now you can go back, after you get finished if you see a little piece hanging up. But sometimes, the realism of a little piece not looking quite so flat, it's kind of fun. Okay, so you got to remember, this is your back where the seam is. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this little flower on, and we have to decide how we want it. Do we want the white flower? Do we want it the purple flower, the pink flower? I think what we should do is probably a combination like that. And I think I'll put the purple in the front. So all I've got to do is put some glue on the strawberry. And a circle motion like this. And you can see that it's a little bit thick. Okay. And the great thing about these flowers is you can smash it down and then just rearrange it, because it's got little wire in the edges, so you can make it do whatever you want it to do. And of course this one's made out of fabric, so you're not going to hurt it either. But you do want to make sure that it gets good contact so it can glue. Okay, now that's pretty. So that means this is the front because that's the back. So now we have to decide. Here's those little pieces that I was going to put on there. They're gold, and then they have little red flowers in a pink rhinestone. So I'm thinking, I've only got 3 of them. So I'm thinking that we need to decide, like right there is pretty. And then the other one, kind of divided into thirds. It's a shame to put one on the back, but I'm going to. Okay, so instead of putting glue on the flower's not quite stuck yet. Okay, instead of putting glue on the jewelry piece, I'm going to put it on the strawberry. Okay. Keeping my seam where it should be, I guess. Let me set it down and see how it's going to look. Okay, so I'm going to start right there. Okay. And Fabri-Tac will hold that there. That's pretty, huh? And if I want to, I can glue that flower to that charm too, but let's see about getting another one on. Guess we'll sit like that. Guess the other one can go right here. I really don't want to put one in the back. It's kind of like wasting it. Okay, well, I'm going to put the third one right here. And that kind of divides it all up. And it looks like I will have to put a little bit of glue to adhere the flower petal to the top of the jewelry. Okay. Go ahead and do that on this one. Probably going to have to hold that in place a little bit. Whoops. Okay, well, it's going to take a little bit for that to dry and cure, but it will. And look, there you go. Isn't that beautiful? Well, thanks for joining me today. Have a creative day. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, give me a like and share it with a friend. See you next time. Bye-bye.